The first ambulance arrived at 9:47 p.m. Dr. Elena Vance stood in Trauma Bay 3, suturing a forehead lac on a college kid who'd walked through a glass door. The monitors beeped steady. The fluorescent lights hummed their usual monotone. Tuesday night at Hennepin General, Level 1 Trauma Center, downtown Minneapolis, was supposed to be quiet. Then the radio crackled. Hennepin, this is Medic 12. We're inbound with a priority red. Male, late 20s, GSW to the abdomen. ETA 3 minutes. Elena didn't look up. Copy that. She tied off the last stitch. The kid would have a scar, but he'd live. She stripped her gloves and tossed them in the bin. Behind her, the charge nurse, Tracy, 20 years on the floor, 0 patients for drama, was already prepping the bay. Want me to page surgery? Tracy asked. Not yet. Elena walked to the sink. Cold water. Soap. She scrubbed her hands and stared at the drain. 1 GSW wasn't unusual. Minneapolis had seen worse. The doors burst open. Paramedics wheeled in a man on a backboard, his shirt soaked black-red. His face was gray. His breathing was shallow, fast. Elena moved without thinking. Trauma Bay 1, let's go. They transferred him in one smooth motion. Tracy cut away his shirt. Elena's hands moved across his abdomen, distended, rigid. She pressed gently. He didn't even flinch. Vitals? BP 82/50. Heart rate 140. Respirations 28. Elena's jaw tightened. Start 2 large-bore IVs. Hang O-neg. Get me a fast scan and page Dr. Caldwell. Tracy's eyes flicked to her. Caldwell's in OR2, elective hernia repair. Then pull him out. Before Tracy could respond, the radio barked again. Hennepin, Medic 9, inbound with 2 priority reds, MVA with rollover, 1's coding, ETA 4 minutes. Elena froze for half a second. Then she turned to the resident hovering near the door. Dr. Kim, take the fast scan. I want results in 2 minutes. She stepped into the hallway. The ER was still mostly empty. A few patients in the waiting room. A drunk sleeping it off in observation. The hum of a normal night. But something felt wrong. Elena pulled out her phone and opened the scanner app she wasn't supposed to have. Police channels, fire channels, EMS dispatch. The chatter was everywhere. Multiple 1050s on I-94 westbound. Rollover with ejection, 4 patients. Structure fire, warehouse district, possible entrapment. Reports of shots fired, uptown. Her stomach dropped. Tracy appeared beside her. What's happening? I don't know yet. The doors opened again. 2 gurneys. Blood everywhere. 1 patient wasn't moving. The other was screaming. Elena pointed. Trauma Bay 2 and 4. Move. She turned back to Bay 1. Doctor. Kim had the ultrasound wand pressed against the GSW patient's abdomen. The screen showed a dark lake spreading through his belly. Free fluid, Kim said. He's bleeding out. Where the hell is Caldwell? The intercom crackled. A voice, smooth and irritated, cut through the chaos. Dr. Vance, this is Dr. Caldwell. I'm in the middle of a procedure. Unless you have a true emergency, I suggest you handle it. Elena's hand tightened on the ultrasound machine. She keyed the intercom. I have a GSW with intra-abdominal bleeding. He needs an OR now. Silence. Then, stabilize him. I'll be down when I'm done. The line went dead. Tracy muttered something under her breath. Elena didn't catch it. She was already moving back to the GSW patient. His BP was dropping. 78/48. Hang another unit. Push fluids wide open. The radio exploded. Hennepin, this is Medic 4. We're inbound with 3 priority reds from a multi-vehicle pileup. 1's a kid. ETA 2 minutes. Hennepin, Medic 18. We've got a 4th from the same scene. Chest trauma. ETA 3. Hennepin, Medic 21. Elena grabbed the radio. This is Dr. Vance. How many incidents are we talking about? The dispatcher's voice was strained. Unknown at this time, doctor. We're getting calls from all over the city. I-94, I-35W, multiple surface streets. It's like static. Then, something's happening. Stand by. Elena turned to Tracy. The charge nurse's face had gone pale. Call it, Elena said. Code Orange. Mass casualty protocol. Now. Tracy didn't argue. She grabbed the phone. Within seconds, the overhead speakers blared. Code Orange. Code Orange. All available staff report to ER immediately. The doors opened again, and again, and again. By 10:15 p.m., every trauma bay was full. The hallway had gurneys lined wall to wall. The waiting room had been cleared and converted into overflow triage. The smell of blood mixed with disinfectant and fear. Elena stood in the center of it all, her scrubs already streaked red, her mind running through a mental checklist she'd never had to use in real life. Dr. Caldwell finally appeared at the edge of the ER. He was still in his surgical cap, his face calm, almost bored. He looked at the chaos like it was an inconvenience. You paged me for this? Elena didn't answer. She turned back to the patient in front of her, a woman with a steering wheel imprint on her chest, fluid filling her lungs. Behind her, the radio kept screaming, Hennepin, Medic 6, inbound with 2 more, ETA 1 minute. Hennepin, Medic 14. The fluorescent lights flickered once. Then they went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing the ER in red. And somewhere in the distance, Elena heard the first siren that wouldn't stop. The emergency lights cast everything in crimson. Dr. Elena Vance didn't stop moving. The woman with the chest trauma was still struggling to breathe. Elena grabbed the ultrasound wand, pressed it against the ribcage. The screen flickered in the dim light, fluid in the pleural space. Hemothorax. I need a chest tube kit. Now. A nurse she didn't recognize, young, wide-eyed, fumbled with the supply cart. Elena snatched the kit herself, tore it open. Her hands moved on muscle memory, betadine, local anesthetic, scalpel. She made the incision between the ribs, pushed the tube through tissue and muscle until she felt the pop of the pleural cavity. Dark blood gushed into the collection chamber. The woman gasped. Her oxygen saturation climbed from 82 to 91. Elena turned to the nurse. Monitor her. If that output goes over 200 milliliters in the next hour, page me immediately. She didn't wait for a response. The ER was a war zone. Patients lined the hallway on backboards, on gurneys, some just on blankets thrown over the floor. Nurses moved between them with flashlights and headlamps. The red emergency lighting made every wound look worse. Every face looked dead. Tracy appeared at Elena's elbow, holding a tablet with a cracked screen. Triage count. 18 priority reds, 22 yellows. Greens are in the parking garage. Or capacity? 3 rooms available. Caldwell's still in OR2. Doctor. Ortiz is in OR4 finishing an appy. Or 1 is open, but they're saying the backup generator's not hitting full power. Elena's jaw tightened. How many surgeons do we have in-house? 2. Caldwell and Ortiz. Call everyone on the trauma roster. I don't care if they're at dinner. I want them here in 20 minutes. Tracy nodded and disappeared into the chaos. Elena moved to the next patient. A man in his 50s, pale as paper, a piece of metal jutting from his thigh. She knelt beside him. His eyes were open but glassy. Shock. She pressed 2 fingers to his wrist, pulse weak and rapid. Sir, can you hear me? He blinked, nodded. You're at Hennepin General. We're taking care of you. What's your name? David. His voice was barely a whisper. David, I need you to stay with me. Can you do that? Another nod. Elena stood, turned to a passing resident. Get him typed and crossed for 4 units. Start a central line, and don't pull that metal out until we're in an OR. The resident hesitated. Dr. Vance, there's no OR available. Then he waits. But he waits stable. She kept moving. The radio on Tracy's belt crackled non-stop. Hennepin Medic 7. Inbound with a priority red. Head trauma. Unresponsive. ETA 2 minutes. Hennepin Medic 19. We've got a pediatric priority red. MVA. Suspected internal bleeding. Elena grabbed the radio from Tracy's belt. This is Dr. Vance. How many more units are inbound? The dispatcher's voice cracked. Doctor, we're still getting calls. The pileup on I-94 has over 30 vehicles involved. There's a second incident on I-35W near downtown. And we're getting reports of a possible coordinated attack. What? Stand by. The line went silent. Elena stared at the radio. Then she looked at Tracy. Coordinated? Tracy's face was stone. I heard it too. Before Elena could respond, the doors burst open again. Paramedics wheeled in a gurney. A child, maybe 8 years old. Her face was covered in blood. Her left arm hung at an unnatural angle. Elena's chest went tight. Trauma Bay 3, let's go. They moved the girl carefully. Elena shone a pen light in her eyes. Pupils equal and reactive. Good. She palpated the abdomen. Soft. No guarding. The arm was obviously fractured, but the bleeding was from a scalp lac. Head wounds always bled like hell. Vitals? BP 95/60. Heart rate 130. She's scared but stable. Elena leaned close to the girl. Hey, sweetheart. My name's Dr. Vance. You're safe now. We're going to fix you up, okay? The girl's eyes locked on hers, terrified. But she nodded. Good. You're very brave. Elena stepped back, spoke quietly to the nurse. Irrigate and suture the scalp. Splint the arm. Get x-rays when you can. She's a yellow. We need the bay for the reds. The nurse nodded. Elena walked back into the hallway. The sound hit her like a wall. Moaning, monitors beeping out of sync, nurses shouting for supplies, the distant wail of sirens that never stopped. And then she saw him. Dr. Marcus Caldwell stood near the nurse's station, arms crossed, surgical mask hanging loose around his neck. He was tall, mid-40s, salt and pepper hair styled like he'd just walked out of a conference. His expression was a mixture of annoyance and disbelief. He was talking to a nurse. Not helping. Talking. Elena walked straight to him. "Dr. Caldwell, I need you in OR 1. I have a GSW with intra-abdominal bleeding who's been waiting for 40 minutes. Caldwell didn't even look at her. "Dr. Vance, I just finished a 2-hour procedure. I'm taking a break." Elena felt heat crawl up her neck. "We have 18 priority reds and 3 OR suites. You don't get a break." Now he looked at her. His eyes were cold. "I don't take orders from ER attendings. You take orders from the incident commander." "That's me. Code Orange protocol." Caldwell smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "You declared Code Orange because of a few car accidents?" "A few—" Elena bit back the words. She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "There are 30 vehicles in a pileup on I-94. We have patients coding in the hallway. If you don't get in that OR right now, people are going to die." Caldwell tilted his head like he was considering it. Then he shrugged. "Respectfully, doctor, I think you're overreacting. This is Minneapolis. We've handled mass casualty before. You're just not used to it." Elena stared at him. Tracy appeared beside her, holding the radio. Her face was pale. "Elena." Elena turned. "What?" "Dispatch just confirmed. It wasn't an accident." "What do you mean?" Tracy's voice was barely steady. "Someone hacked the traffic grid. Every light on I-94 and I-35W turned green at the same time. It's not a pileup. It's a coordinated attack." The hallway went quiet for 3 seconds. Then the doors opened again, and the sirens kept screaming. The words hung in the air like smoke. Coordinated attack. Dr. Elena Vance turned back to Dr. Caldwell. His smug expression had faltered, just slightly, but he recovered fast. "That's unconfirmed," he said. "Dispatch gets things wrong all the time." Elena didn't answer. She grabbed the radio from Tracy's hand and keyed it. "This is Dr. Vance at Hennepin General. Can you confirm the nature of the incidents on I-94 and I-35W?" Static. Then a different voice, older, strained. "Dr. Vance, this is Deputy Chief Rourke, Minneapolis Fire. We have confirmation from Metro Transit Authority. The traffic control system was breached at 9:38 p.m. All signals on 2 major corridors were overridden simultaneously. We're treating this as a deliberate act." Elena's grip tightened on the radio. "Are there other targets?" "Unknown at this time. PD and FBI are investigating. But doctor, you need to prepare for sustained intake. We're still pulling people out of vehicles. This is going to get worse before it gets better." The line went dead. Elena turned to Tracy. "Lock down the ER. No one in or out except patients and staff. Get security on every entrance. And pull up the hospital's cyber attack protocol." Tracy's eyes widened. "You think they're coming after us next?" "I don't know. But I'm not waiting to find out." Tracy ran. Elena turned back to Caldwell. He was staring at the radio like it had bitten him. "Still think I'm overreacting?" He didn't answer. "Or 1. Now." This time he moved. Elena walked back into the chaos. Her mind was racing, running through contingencies she'd only ever practiced in drills. If this was a coordinated cyber attack, the hospital could be next. Power grid, medical records, medication dispensers, ventilators. Everything ran on computers now. She pushed the thought down. "Focus on what's in front of you." A nurse called out from Trauma Bay 1. "Dr. Vance, BP's dropping again." Elena sprinted. The GSW patient, the first one, the man who'd been waiting for Caldwell, was gray. His monitor showed a blood pressure of 68/42. The collection bag hanging from his chest tube was full of dark blood. "How much has he put out?" "Out 400 milliliters in the last 30 minutes. Elena swore under her breath. He was bleeding faster than they could replace it. "Is Caldwell in the OR yet?" "They're prepping now. Tell them we're coming up." "We can't wait!" She grabbed the foot of the gurney. 2 nurses took the sides. They moved fast, weaving through the crowded hallway, dodging gurneys and staff. The elevator was out. Backup power hadn't restored it yet. They hit the stairwell. 6 flights. The patient's monitor beeped erratically. His pressure kept dropping. Elena leaned over him as they climbed. "Stay with me. We're almost there." His eyes were closed. She couldn't tell if he heard her. They burst through the door into the OR suite. The lights were dimmer than usual. Generator power. Caldwell was at the scrub sink, moving slowly, methodically, like he had all the time in the world. Elena wanted to scream. Instead, she helped transfer the patient onto the OR table. The anesthesiologist, Dr. Patel, a small woman with steady hands, was already pulling up meds. "He's shocky," Elena said. "Massive intra-abdominal hemorrhage. He needs damage control, not a perfect repair." Patel nodded. "I'll keep him light, but if he codes, we're in trouble." Caldwell finally walked in, hands dripping, arms raised. A surgical tech tied his gown. He glanced at the patient, then at Elena. "You can go now, Dr. Vance. I've got this." Elena hesitated. Every instinct told her to stay, but she had 17 other priority reds downstairs. "If he crashes?" I said, "I've got it." Elena turned and walked out. The door swung shut behind her. She stood in the hallway for 5 seconds, breathing hard. The smell of disinfectant was stronger up here, sharper. Her hands were shaking. She made fists, forced them still. Then she ran back to the stairwell. By the time she reached the ER again, the situation had deteriorated. More ambulances, more patients. The red emergency lighting made everything feel surreal, like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Tracy found her immediately. "We've got a problem." "Another one?" "Pharmacy says the automated dispensing system just went offline. They can't access half the meds." Elena's stomach dropped. "Manual override?" "They're working on it, but it's going to slow everything down." Elena closed her eyes for 1 second, then opened them. "Prioritize trauma meds. Pressors, paralytics, blood products. Everything else waits." Tracy nodded and disappeared again. Elena moved to the next patient, a teenage boy, unconscious, his chest rising and falling too fast. She checked his airway, clear. Breath sounds, diminished on the left. Another hemothorax. She was reaching for a chest tube kit when Dr. Kim appeared beside her. "Dr. Vance, we've got a woman in Bay 2. She's crashing. I think she's got a ruptured spleen. Vitals, BP 70 over 40. Heart rate 160. She needs surgery. Get her typed and crossed. I'll call..." Elena stopped. Caldwell was in surgery. Ortiz was still finishing the appy. There was no one else. "Where's Ortiz now?" "Still in OR4. Elena made a decision she knew she'd regret. "Pull him out. Tell him it's life or death." Kim hesitated. "He's almost done." "Now, Dr. Kim." Kim ran. Elena went back to the teenage boy. She prepped the site, made the incision, threaded the tube. Blood poured into the chamber. His oxygen climbed. She moved to the next patient, and the next, and the next. At some point, she lost track of time. The ER became a blur of blood and commands and monitors beeping out of rhythm. Her scrubs were soaked. Her hands ached. She couldn't remember the last time she'd had water. Then Tracy was beside her again, holding a phone. "Elena, you need to hear this." Elena took the phone. "Dr. Vance." A voice she didn't recognize. Male, calm. "Dr. Vance, this is Agent Ruiz, FBI Cyber Division. We've confirmed that Hennepin General is on a list of secondary targets. You need to disconnect all networked systems immediately." Elena's blood went cold. "We're in the middle of a mass casualty event. If we disconnect, we lose half our equipment. If you don't disconnect, they'll take control of it, including life support." Elena stared at the chaos around her. 30 patients. Maybe more. Ventilators, monitors, IV pumps. "How much time do we have?" "Unknown. But the breach on the traffic grid took less than 3 minutes. If they hit you, it'll be fast." Elena's mind raced. She couldn't shut down the hospital, but she couldn't let them in either. She made a choice. Disconnect everything non-essential. Ventilators and life support stay online, but isolate them from the network. Manual monitoring only. Tracy's face went pale. "Elena, we don't have enough staff." "Then pull everyone. Admin, janitorial. I don't care. If they can count a pulse, they're monitoring a patient." Tracy ran. Elena handed the phone back. She turned to face the ER. And then the lights went out again. This time they didn't come back on. Total darkness. For 3 seconds, the ER was silent. Then the screaming began. Dr. Elena Vance stood frozen, hands still bloody, emergency lights dead. The backup generator was down. "Flashlights!" she shouted. "Any light? Now!" Beams flickered on. Phones, headlamps. Elena swept her penlight over the nearest patient, a teenage boy with a chest tube, eyes wide with fear. "You're okay," she said, forcing calm she didn't feel. At the nurse's station, Tracy was already on the phone. "Engineering says the generator's been knocked offline. 5 to 10 minutes, maybe." Elena's mind raced. Ventilators down. IV pumps stopped. Anyone on pressors was about to crash. Manual bagging for every vented patient. Eyes on all criticals. No exceptions. Staff flooded in, moving through the dark, counting breaths, feeling pulses. Elena checked the woman with the ruptured spleen. Weak pulse. Manual BP, barely 78 systolic. "Where's Ortiz?" "In OR4, but they lost power too. Backup won't last." Elena swallowed. One crisis at a time. She moved bay to bay, giving orders, calming patients. The little girl with the scalp laceration clutched her hand. "We'll get the lights back," Elena said, hoping it was true. Dr. Kim was manually bagging a bruised patient, arms shaking. "As long as it takes," he said. Then Tracy pulled her aside, handing over a phone. "Dr. Vance," Agent Ruiz said, "this is a coordinated cyber attack. The grid and backup generator were remotely disabled. Hennepin General was the target, during a mass casualty." "How long until power?" Elena asked. "Unknown." She stared into the dark. 30 patients, no monitors, no vents, no ORs. Then she made a choice. "How many ambulances left outside?" she asked Tracy. 4 or 5. Dispatch diverted the rest. "Good," Elena said. "We're moving critical patients." "To where?" "The parking garage, field hospital, headlights for light, portable O2. Manual vitals, we stabilize there." "That's insane," Tracy said. "We'll lose people in transit. We'll lose more staying blind." A long pause. Then Tracy nodded. Elena raised her voice. "Teams of 3, 1 pushing, 2 monitoring. Grab whatever you can carry. We move now." No one moved. Then Kim stepped forward. "I'm in." Others followed. Gurneys rolled through dark hallways, guided by phone screens. Elena led the first wave, hauling the teen with the chest tube. Her arms burned, lungs screamed, but she didn't stop. The garage was cold, lit by car headlights. They lined gurneys in rows. Staff crouched beside patients, counting breaths by hand. Then a shout from the stairwell. "Dr. Vance! The ruptured spleen, she's coding!" Elena ran. Back into the ER. Back into darkness. No pulse, no breathing. Elena started compressions. Epi, 1 milligram. Now. Minutes passed. Sweat burned her eyes. Then, beneath her hands, a pulse. Weak, but real. Elena sagged in relief, but she knew the truth. Without surgery, the woman had maybe an hour. And there was still no power. No OR. No way out. Dr. Elena Vance stood in the dark ER, her hands still on the woman's chest, feeling the weak pulse beneath her fingers. 1 hour, maybe less. "Get her to the garage," Elena told the resident. "Manual vitals every 2 minutes. If she fades, you get me." They rushed the gurney toward the stairwell. Elena stayed behind a moment. The ER was silent, heavy with blood and sweat. Empty bays, hanging IVs, abandoned equipment. She'd made a desperate call, moving critical patients to a parking garage. Reckless. If anyone died because of it, that would be on her. Her radio crackled. "Elena, you need to come to the garage. Now." She ran. The garage looked like a battlefield hospital. 20 gurneys lined up, lit by car headlights. Staff crouched beside patients, counting respirations, squeezing IV bags by hand. Tracy stood grim-faced. "We've got a visitor." Dr. Marcus Caldwell stood at the edge of the light, still in his blood-streaked surgical gown. "The GSW from OR1, he said quietly. "We lost power mid-procedure. He didn't make it." The words hit hard. "You were right," Caldwell added. "I should have listened." Elena didn't dwell. "Can you operate down here?" He stared. "In a parking garage? The woman with the ruptured spleen has maybe an hour." Silence. Then a nod. "Get me a table. Sterile drapes. A kit. Every flashlight you can find." Within minutes, a folding table became an OR. Flashlights were duct-taped to an IV pole. It looked like a war zone. Patel intubated by flashlight. Caldwell scrubbed with betadine, no sink, no water. He picked up the scalpel. Blood welled instantly. He worked fast, steady, precise. Elena moved on, checking vitals, adjusting oxygen, calming terrified patients. The cold cut through her scrubs. A nurse shouted, "Kid seizing in row 3. Elena ran. Diazepam. 10 seconds. 20. The seizure stopped. The girl was stable. Nearby, a man sat crying. "How do you stay calm?" he asked. Elena swallowed. "You just keep moving, 1 patient at a time." Tracy found her again. "Power's still out. FBI says it could be hours." They didn't have hours. Then a calm voice came over the radio. "Dr. Vance, this is Dr. Raymond Kirsch. Return to the ER. You've violated protocol. I'm taking over." Elena's jaw tightened. "No." Silence. "Excuse me? We're under cyber attack. 30 critical patients are being kept alive by car headlights. If you want to help, grab a flashlight. Otherwise, stay out of my way." She turned off the radio. "He'll fire you," Tracy said. "Probably. Worth it?" Elena looked at the patients, at Caldwell operating on a folding table. "Yeah." A shout cut through the noise. "Dr. Vance, Caldwell needs you." She ran back. "I can't see the bleed," Caldwell said. Elena aimed a flashlight into the wound. "There. Liver tear. Upper right lobe. Clamp. Pressure." The bleeding stopped. Moments later, Caldwell stepped back. The woman's pulse was stronger, her color improving. She's going to live, he said. Elena exhaled. Then they heard it. A low hum, growing louder. The lights flickered and blazed to life. The fluorescent lights hummed back to life, harsh and bright after the darkness. For a moment, everyone in the parking garage just stood there, blinking, disoriented. Then the monitors started beeping. Dr. Elena Vance grabbed the nearest IV pump, watched it boot up, watched the screen glow green. Power was back. The generators were online. "Get these patients back inside," she shouted. "Priority reds first. Let's move." The garage exploded into motion. Gurneys rolled toward the stairwell. Nurses disconnected portable oxygen tanks and switched back to wall units. The woman Caldwell had just operated on was transferred carefully, his hand still holding the edges of the surgical drape like he didn't quite trust it was over. Elena moved with them, helping push a gurney, her legs burning, her mind still racing. Power was back. But for how long? And why now? Tracy appeared at her side, phone pressed to her ear. "Engineering says the lockout was lifted remotely. FBI's still investigating. But whoever did this just let go." Elena frowned. "That doesn't make sense." "I know." They pushed through the stairwell doors, back into the ER. The lights were blinding after 2 hours in the dark. The monitors beeped in chaotic harmony. The smell of disinfectant and blood was stronger now, sharper in the light. And standing in the center of the ER, arms crossed, expression carved from ice, was Dr. Raymond Kirsch. Elena stopped. Kirsch was in his early 60s, gray suit, silver hair perfectly combed even at midnight. He'd been CMO for 5 years, and in that time Elena had spoken to him maybe twice. Both times he'd treated her like a mild inconvenience. Now he looked at her like she was a problem to be solved. "Dr. Vance." His voice was calm, controlled, a word, in private. Elena didn't move. "I'm in the middle of..." "Now." Tracy touched her arm. "Go, I've got this." Elena followed Kirsch into the small administrative office off the ER. He closed the door. The sound of the chaos outside became muffled, distant. Kirsch turned to face her. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Elena crossed her arms. "Saved 30 lives? You moved critical patients to a parking garage, without authorization, without consulting the incident command structure. You performed an emergency surgery in an unsanctioned environment, and you openly defied a direct order from a senior hospital administrator." Elena held his gaze. The power was out. The backup generator was sabotaged. We had no monitors, no ventilators, no way to operate. I made a field decision. A reckless decision. A necessary one. Kirsch stepped closer. "Dr. Vance, I understand that you were under pressure, but this hospital has protocols for a reason. You don't get to ignore them because you think you know better." Elena felt heat crawl up her neck. "Those protocols assume we have power. They assume our systems work. They assume we're not in the middle of a coordinated cyber attack. And yet, the power came back on. The attack ended. We're operational again. For now." Kirsch tilted his head. "What does that mean?" Elena hesitated. She didn't have proof, just a feeling. A cold knot in her gut that told her this wasn't over. "Nothing," she said. "It means nothing." Kirsch studied her for a long moment. "You're suspended. Effective immediately. Pending a full review of your actions tonight." Elena stared at him. "You're joking." "I don't joke about patient safety." "Patient safety?" Elena's voice rose. "I kept them alive in the dark, with no equipment, while you were..." She stopped herself. "While I was what, Dr. Vance?" Elena bit down on the words. Saying them wouldn't help. "While you were wherever you were." Kirsch's expression didn't change. "I was coordinating with state emergency management and the FBI, doing my job, which is more than I can say for you." Elena felt the exhaustion hit her all at once. Her legs were shaking. Her hands were still stained with blood. She'd been running for 3 hours straight, and now this. "Fine," she said quietly. "Suspend me, but let me finish the shift. We still have patients." Kirsch shook his head. "Dr. Ortiz will take over. You're dismissed." Elena's jaw tightened. "You're making a mistake. That's not your call to make." He opened the door, gestured for her to leave. Elena walked past him, back into the ER. The noise hit her like a wall. Nurses calling for meds, monitors beeping, the distant wail of another ambulance. Tracy saw her face and walked over. "What happened?" "I'm suspended." Tracy's eyes went wide. "He can't do that." "He just did." "Elena, it's fine. Just take care of them, okay?" Tracy nodded, but her face was tight. Elena turned toward the exit. She pulled off her bloody gloves, tossed them in the bin. Her hands were pale, wrinkled from the latex. She was halfway to the door when the lights flickered. Everyone stopped. The fluorescent hum stuttered. The monitors beeped erratically. Then everything stabilized. but Elena felt it, the same cold knot in her gut. She turned to Tracy. Check the systems. Elena, you're suspended. Check the systems. Now. Tracy ran to the nurse's station, pulled up the computer. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Then she stopped. Her face went pale. Elena. What? The pharmacy dispensing system just locked out again. And the med records. They're all showing the same thing. What? Tracy turned the screen toward her. Every patient in the system had the same diagnosis. Code black. Bomb threat. Elena's blood went cold. The overhead speakers crackled. A voice distorted. Mechanical. Attention Hennepin General Staff. This is not a drill. A credible bomb threat has been received. You have 30 minutes to evacuate the building. If any patient is moved, the device will detonate immediately. You have 30 minutes. Silence. Then chaos. Nurses screamed. Patients started shouting. Someone dropped a tray of instruments. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Elena stood frozen, her mind trying to process what she'd just heard. Bomb threat. 30 minutes. Can't move patients. It was impossible. A trap. They couldn't evacuate and they couldn't stay. Tracy grabbed her arm. Elena, what do we do? Elena looked at her. Then at the ER full of patients. Then at Kirsch, who stood in the doorway of the administrative office, face pale, mouth open. She turned back to Tracy. Get me the FBI agent on the phone. Now. Tracy ran. Elena walked to the center of the ER, raised her voice. Everyone, listen to me. Do not panic. Do not move patients. Stay at your stations and wait for instructions. A nurse shouted back. There's a bomb. We don't know that. It could be a hoax. And if it's not? Elena didn't have an answer. Her radio crackled. Agent Ruiz's voice. Dr. Vance, we just intercepted the message. We're sending a bomb squad now. ETA 15 minutes. We have 30 minutes before the timer runs out. I know. Do not evacuate. Do not move patients. We need to sweep the building first. And if you find something, silence. Then, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The line went dead. Elena looked at the clock on the wall. 12:47 a.m., 30 minutes. She turned to Kirsch. He was still standing in the doorway, frozen. Dr. Kirsch, she said, her voice ice. I'm unsuspending myself. You have a problem with that. Take it up with the board. After we survive the next half hour. Kirsch didn't respond. He just stared at her. Elena turned back to the ER. All right, people, we stay calm. We stay put. And we wait for the bomb squad. Tracy, I need a full patient count. Dr. Kim, check every single monitor and IV pump. If anything's been tampered with, I want to know immediately. They moved. Elena walked through the ER, room by room, her eyes scanning for anything out of place. A bag that didn't belong. A device that looked wrong. Anything. She found nothing. 15 minutes passed. The bomb squad arrived. 6 officers in full gear, carrying scanners and detection equipment. They moved through the ER in silence, sweeping every room, every corner. Elena watched the clock. 20 minutes. 25. One of the bomb squad officers approached her. Dr. Vance, we've swept the ER, the ORs, and the main corridors. No devices found. Elena exhaled. So it was a hoax. The officer's face was grim. Maybe. Or maybe the device is somewhere we haven't checked yet. How much time do we have? He looked at his watch. 3 minutes. Elena's heart pounded. 3 minutes. She looked at the patients around her. 30 people who couldn't be moved. 30 lives in her hands. She grabbed the radio. Agent Ruiz, we have 3 minutes and no device. What do we do? Static. Then, you pray, doctor. Elena closed her eyes. 2 minutes. 1. The clock hit 1:17 a.m. Nothing happened. The ER was silent. Everyone stood frozen, waiting. 10 seconds, 20, 30, still nothing. A nurse let out a shaky laugh. It was a hoax. Elena didn't feel relieved. She felt cold, because whoever did this had just proven something. They could get inside the hospital's systems. They could shut down the power. They could fake a bomb threat and lock every patient in place. They could do whatever they wanted, and Elena had no idea how to stop them. The silence in the ER stretched like a held breath. Dr. Elena Vance stood beneath the clock. 1:18 a.m. 1 minute past the deadline. No explosion, no fire, no bodies, just silence. It wasn't a bomb, she said. Tracy turned. What? It was a test. Agent Ruiz's voice came over the radio. No explosives detected. This appears to have been a psychological operation. To what end? Elena asked. Distraction. Her stomach dropped. From what? Silence. Then the line went dead. Elena turned to Tracy. Pull up every admission from tonight. The patient list scrolled past. Most from the I-94 pileup. all legitimate, except one, patient 27, male, 34, admitted 10:52 p.m., green, observation wing. No paramedic notes, Tracy said. No insurance, no admitting physician. And he was processed early, while we were still getting priority reds. Elena felt cold. Where is he? Observation wing, bed 7. She grabbed her radio. Lockdown observation wing, no one in or out. Elena and Dr. Kim ran. The wing was dim. Patients slept. A lone nurse looked up, confused. Bed 7? She said. He was here earlier. He's gone. The bed was empty. No chart, no IV, no belongings, as if he'd never existed. Ruiz arrived moments later. The intake was forged. He was inserted into your system remotely. But he was physically here, Elena said. Yes, long enough to access a terminal. He uploaded malware from inside your hospital. Elena swallowed. So everything, the blackout, the bomb threat, was to get him inside. That's our theory. And he's still here. Ruiz handed her a tablet. There's more. He accessed one patient file. Elena looked down. Her file. From 8 years ago. PTSD. Major depressive episode. A child she'd lost during residency. Ruiz watched her. Why target you? I don't know, she said barely. The lights went out again. This time, no emergency lighting. A radio crackled. Medication dispensary breach. 3rd floor. They ran. Inside the dispensary, trays were scattered. Elena checked labels. Fentanyl, midazolam, vecuronium, missing. He has enough to kill people, she said. Or silence them, Ruiz replied. Then Tracy's voice broke through. Elena. Patient collapsed. Possible poisoning. Elena sprinted back to the ER. The man was seizing. Pinpoint pupils. Opioid overdose, she said. Narcan. Now. The seizure stopped. The patient gasped. Then Elena saw it. A puncture mark in the IV bag. Someone had injected the line. She slowly stood, scanning the red-lit room. Doctors, nurses, patients, shadows. He was still here, and one of them wasn't who they claimed to be. Dr. Elena Vance stood in the red-lit ER, her eyes moving from face to face. Nurses she'd worked with for years, residents she'd trained, security guards she recognized, and dozens of people she didn't know. Paramedics who'd brought patients, family members who'd slipped through during the chaos, volunteers who'd answered the code orange call. Any one of them could be him. She grabbed her radio. Agent Ruiz, he's in the ER. He just poisoned a patient. Ruiz's voice crackled back. We're on our way. Lock it down. Elena turned to security. No one leaves this room. I don't care who they are. The security guard, a young man named Marcus, nodded and moved to block the main entrance. Elena walked to Tracy. Pull up the badge scanner logs. Everyone who's entered the ER in the last hour. Cross-reference with employee records. Anyone who doesn't match gets flagged. Tracy's fingers flew across the keyboard. Elena, this is going to take time. We don't have time. Just do it. Elena moved through the ER, her pen light beam cutting through the dim red glow. She checked every face, every ID badge, every movement. Her heart hammered in her chest. He was here, watching, waiting. But for what? Dr. Kim appeared at her side. Dr. Vance, what are we looking for? Someone who doesn't belong. Someone who's too calm. Someone who keeps moving but never actually does anything. Kim nodded and started scanning the room. Elena kept walking. Her mind replayed everything that had happened. The traffic hack, the mass casualty event, the power outage, the bomb threat, the stolen drugs. It was all coordinated, planned. But to what end? Then she saw him. A man in scrubs standing near the medication cart. Mid-30s. Dark hair, wearing a surgical mask. He was holding a syringe, drawing medication from a vial. Elena's breath caught. She'd never seen him before. She walked toward him slowly, keeping her voice calm. Excuse me? Can I see your badge? The man looked up. His eyes were dark, unreadable behind the mask. He didn't answer. Your badge, Elena repeated. I need to verify you're authorized to access that medication. The man set down the syringe, slowly, too slowly. Then he ran. Elena didn't think. She just chased. He bolted through the ER, weaving between gurneys and equipment. Elena followed, her legs burning, her lungs screaming. Nurses shouted. Patients jerked awake. Stop him! Elena yelled. Marcus, the security guard, stepped into the man's path. The man didn't slow down. He drove his shoulder into Marcus's chest, sent him sprawling. Elena kept running. The man hit the stairwell door, disappeared through it. Elena followed 3 seconds later. The stairwell was dark except for dim emergency lighting. Footsteps echoed above her. He was going up, not down. Elena climbed, her hands gripping the rail. Second floor, third, fourth. Her radio crackled. Ruiz's voice. Dr. Vance, report your location. Elena was too out of breath to answer. She kept climbing. Fifth floor, sixth. The footsteps stopped. Elena slowed, listening. Her penlight beam swept the darkness. She was on the seventh floor now. Administrative offices, conference rooms. Empty at night. She stepped into the hallway. The red emergency lights cast long shadows. The air smelled like dust and old carpet. I know you're here, she called out. Her voice echoed. No response. Elena moved forward, her penlight cutting through the dark. She checked each door. Locked. 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 Then she heard it. A soft click. Behind her. She spun around. A door at the end of the hallway stood open. Light flickered inside. Not emergency lighting. Something else. Brighter. Elena walked toward it, every instinct screaming at her to run the other way. She reached the doorway, looked inside. It was a conference room. A laptop sat open on the table, screen glowing. Lines of code scrolled across the display. Medical records, system access logs, real-time feeds from hospital cameras. And sitting in the chair, calm as death, was the man in scrubs. He'd pulled down his mask. His face was ordinary, forgettable, except for his eyes. They were cold, empty. Dr. Vance, he said. His voice was soft, almost polite. I was hoping you'd come. Elena's hand moved to her radio. Don't. He held up a small device, a remote with a single button. If you call for help, I press this. The malware I uploaded will fry every piece of networked medical equipment in this hospital. Ventilators, dialysis machines, insulin pumps, everything. 30 seconds and you'll have 200 dead patients. Elena froze. Her hand hovered over the radio. Put it down, he said. She set the radio on the floor. Slowly. Good. Now step inside. Close the door. Elena didn't move. Who are you? My name doesn't matter. Why are you doing this? The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Because someone paid me to. To do what? Kill people? To test you. Elena's blood went cold. What? You specifically. Dr. Elena Vance, trauma surgeon, Hennepin General. 8 years in practice. Excellent record. 1 black mark. He tapped the laptop. A 10-year-old boy. Brain bleed. Missed diagnosis. He died while you watched. Elena felt her chest tighten. How do you know about that? Because that's what I was hired to find out. Whether you'd break under pressure. Whether the guilt would paralyze you when things went wrong. He leaned back in the chair. But you didn't break. You kept moving. Made decisions. Saved lives. Even when you were wrong. I wasn't wrong. You moved patients to a parking garage. One of them could have died in transit. That would have been on you. Elena's hands clenched into fists. They would have died if I left them in the ER with no power. Maybe, maybe not. The point is you gambled, and you were willing to live with the consequences. He nodded, like he was impressed. That's rare. Elena took a step closer. Who hired you? Someone who wants to know if you're strong enough. For what? The man stood. That's not my concern. My job was to create the worst possible scenario and see how you responded. Traffic hack, mass casualty, power failure, bomb threat. I threw everything at you. He gestured to the laptop, and you held it together. Congratulations. You passed. Elena stared at him. This was a test? Everything's a test, doctor. People died. One person died. The GSW patient in OR1. And that wasn't your fault. That was Caldwell's. He was too slow, too arrogant. He didn't trust you. The man tilted his head. But you learned from it. And you'll be better next time. Elena felt rage flood through her. There won't be a next time. You're going to prison. The man smiled again. No, I'm not. He pressed the button on the remote. Elena's heart stopped, but nothing happened. No alarms, no screams, no cascade of failures. The man looked at the remote, frowned, pressed it again. Still nothing. A voice behind Elena. Looking for this? She turned. Agent Ruiz stood in the doorway, holding a small black box. Signal jammer. Your remote's useless. The man's expression didn't change. He reached into his pocket. Ruiz drew his weapon. Don't! The man froze, then slowly raised his hands. 2 more agents pushed past Elena, moved into the room. They cuffed the man, pulled him to his feet. Ruiz looked at Elena. You okay? Elena didn't answer. She was staring at the laptop, at the lines of code, at the surveillance feeds showing every corner of the hospital. How long has he been watching? She asked. Ruiz walked to the laptop, scanned the screen. Looks like he's had access since the moment he walked in. He's been monitoring everything. Patient records, staff schedules, security cameras. Why? Ruiz didn't answer. Elena turned to the man in cuffs. Who hired you? The man smiled. You'll find out soon enough. Tell me. You're not ready yet, but you will be. The agents pulled him toward the door. Elena grabbed his arm. Who hired you? The man leaned close, his voice a whisper. Someone who's been watching you for a long time, Dr. Vance. Someone who thinks you're special, and they're not done with you yet. Then he was gone. Elena stood in the empty conference room staring at the laptop. Her hands were shaking. Her mind was racing. Ruiz put a hand on her shoulder. Come on, let's get you downstairs. Elena nodded, but she didn't move. She couldn't stop staring at the screen, at the surveillance feed showing the ER, the patients, the staff, and at the bottom of the screen, a single line of text blinking in red. Phase 1 complete. Elena's blood turned to ice. Phase 1? Ruiz leaned over, read the text. His face went pale. What the hell does that mean? Elena didn't answer, because she didn't know, but she had a feeling she was about to find out. She turned and walked out of the room, back down the hallway, back to the stairwell, back to the ER, because whatever was coming next, it was going to happen there. And this time, she was going to be ready. Dr. Elena Vance hit the ER at a dead run. The lights were back on, full power, bright and sterile. The chaos had calmed to a controlled urgency. Nurses moved between patients with purpose. Monitors beeped in steady rhythm. It looked almost normal, but Elena knew better. Phase 1. Complete. The words burned in her mind. Tracy saw her coming and met her halfway. Elena, FBI's sweeping the entire network. They're pulling the malware out piece by piece. We should be... It's not over. Tracy stopped. What? He said this was phase 1. There's more coming. Tracy's face went pale. What kind of more? Elena didn't answer. She grabbed the nearest computer terminal, pulled up the system access logs. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. The man in scrubs had been inside their network for 18 minutes. 18 minutes of unrestricted access. He could have planted anything. She scanned the logs. Medication dispensary. Compromised. Power grid. Compromised. Patient records. Accessed. Security systems. Elena stopped. The security badge system had been accessed 3 minutes before the man ran. He'd created a new credential. Admin level. Full building access. And it was still active. Tracy, pull up the badge scanner logs. Right now. Tracy ran to the nurse's station, pulled up the system. Elena leaned over her shoulder, scanning the entries. Staff entering, staff leaving, normal traffic, except one badge. Admin credential, 7743. No name attached. Scanned into the hospital at 11:34 p.m., right after the power came back on. Location, loading dock. Service entrance. Elena's stomach dropped. Someone else came in. What? The man in scrubs created a second badge. Someone else is in the building. Tracy's hands were shaking as she scrolled through the logs. Where are they now? Elena traced the badge activity. Service entrance, basement corridor, maintenance wing. The last scan was at 1:52 a.m. Electrical substation. Elena's blood went cold. Get Ruiz. Tell him someone's in the substation, now. Tracy grabbed her phone. Elena ran. The basement was a maze of corridors and mechanical rooms. The air was hot, thick with the smell of oil and ozone. Pipes ran along the ceiling. The fluorescent lights flickered. Elena followed the signs to the electrical substation. Her pen light was useless in the bright hallway, but she kept it in her hand anyway. Something to hold. She rounded a corner and saw the door. Heavy steel. A yellow warning sign. Authorized personnel only. High voltage. The door was propped open. Elena approached slowly. She could hear something inside. A low hum, punctuated by rhythmic beeping. She pushed the door wider. The substation was a forest of electrical panels and transformer units. Cables snaked across the floor. Warning lights blinked on every surface. And in the center of the room, crouched beside the main power distribution panel, was a woman. She was small, mid-20s, wearing maintenance coveralls. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She had a tablet in one hand and wire cutters in the other. She looked up when Elena entered. Her face was calm, almost serene. Dr. Vance, she said. You're early. Elena's grip tightened on the pen light. Step away from the panel. The woman smiled. I don't think so. Elena took a step closer. What are you doing? Finishing what he started. The woman gestured to the tablet. Your friend upstairs did a great job. Set everything up perfectly. But he was just the setup man. I'm the closer. Elena's mind raced. You're going to cut the power again. Not exactly. The woman tapped the screen. I'm going to overload the system. Push every circuit to maximum capacity. The breakers will fail. The transformers will catch fire. and this entire building will go dark, permanently. There are patients upstairs, critical patients. I know. Elena felt rage burn through her. Why? The woman tilted her head. Because someone wants to know if you can save them without power, without equipment, without anything but your hands and your brain. She smiled. Call it a final exam. Elena lunged. She didn't plan it, didn't think. She just moved. She grabbed the woman's wrist, twisted it, sent the wire cutters clattering across the floor. The woman spun, drove an elbow into Elena's ribs. Elena gasped, stumbled back. The woman dove for the panel. Elena tackled her from behind. They hit the ground hard, tangled together. The woman was stronger than she looked. She twisted, drove a knee into Elena's stomach. Elena's vision went white. The woman scrambled to her feet, grabbed the wire cutters. Elena forced herself up. Her ribs screamed. Her lungs burned. The woman reached for the panel. Elena threw herself forward, grabbed the woman's ankle, pulled. They both went down again. The wire cutters skittered away. Elena pinned the woman's arms, held her down. It's over. The woman laughed, blood on her teeth. No, it's not. She nodded toward the panel. Elena looked. A timer on the tablet screen, counting down. 0, 47, 00, 46, 00, 45. I set it up before you got here, the woman said. Automated sequence. Can't be stopped. In 45 seconds, the system overloads, and everyone upstairs dies in the dark. Elena's heart hammered. She let go of the woman, ran to the panel. The tablet was locked, password protected. Elena grabbed it, tried to pull up the override. Nothing. She looked at the panel itself. Rows of breakers, switches, conduits. She had no idea which one controlled the sequence. 032, 0031. Behind her, the woman stood, wiped blood from her mouth. You can't stop it. No one can. Elena stared at the panel. Her mind raced through everything she knew about electrical systems, which was almost nothing. Think. 00, 23, 0, 22. If she couldn't stop the sequence, she had to cut the power before it overloaded. She scanned the panel. Main breaker. Large switch at the top. She grabbed it, pulled. It didn't move. She pulled harder. Her hands slipped. 0015, 0014. The woman laughed. It's locked. You'd need the master key, which I have. Elena turned. Give it to me. No. 0009, 0008. Elena didn't hesitate. She grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, swung it at the breaker switch. Metal crunched. Sparks flew. She swung again. The switch bent, but didn't break. 0004, 0003. Elena screamed and swung one more time. The switch shattered. The lights went out. The hum of the transformers died. Silence. Elena stood in the darkness, breathing hard. The emergency lighting kicked in, dim and red. She looked at the tablet screen. 00. Error. Sequence interrupted. Elena dropped the fire extinguisher. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. Behind her, the woman was laughing, quietly, like it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. You did it, the woman said. You actually did it. Elena turned. What? You stopped the sequence. Saved the hospital. All those patients upstairs. The woman's eyes were bright. Congratulations, Dr. Vance. You passed phase 2. Elena stared at her. Footsteps pounded down the hallway. Agent Ruiz burst through the door, weapon drawn. 2 more agents followed. Hands up! Now! The woman raised her hands slowly, still smiling. Ruiz grabbed her, cuffed her. He looked at Elena. What happened? Elena couldn't find words. She just pointed at the shattered breaker switch. Ruiz looked at it, then at her. You cut the power? I had to. She was going to overload the system. Ruiz turned to the woman. Is that true? The woman just smiled. Ruiz pulled her toward the door. Before she left, she looked back at Elena. He was right about you, she said. You're stronger than you think. Then she was gone. Elena stood alone in the red-lit substation. Her ribs ached. Her hands were bleeding from the fire extinguisher. Her mind was numb. She pulled out her radio. Tracy, we need to restore power. Manual override. Get engineering down here now. Tracy's voice crackled back. Already on it. They'll have backup power in 10 minutes. Good. Elena walked out of the substation, back through the basement corridors. Her legs felt like lead. Every step hurt. She took the stairs back to the ER. 1 flight. 2, 3. When she pushed through the doors, the scene stopped her cold. The ER was running on emergency power again. Red lighting, manual monitoring. But this time, everyone knew what to do. Nurses moved with calm efficiency. Dr. Kim was bagging a patient. Tracy was checking vitals with a handheld monitor. Even Dr. G. Caldwell was there, checking IV lines, giving orders. They'd done this before, 2 hours ago, in the dark, and now they knew they could survive it. Elena walked to the center of the room. Everyone looked up. "Power's coming back in 10 minutes, she said. "Until then, we keep doing what we're doing. Manual everything. Eyes on every patient. We've got this." No one argued. They just nodded and kept working. Elena found Tracy near the nurse's station. "How many patients do we have left?" 18 reds, 12 yellows. We've transferred 6 to other hospitals. 4 went to surgery. 2 didn't make it. Elena closed her eyes. 2 deaths. The GSW patient in OR1 and 1 other. Who was the second? Tracy's voice was soft. "Elderly man. Cardiac arrest during the first blackout. We couldn't get him back." Elena nodded. She wanted to feel something. Grief, anger, guilt. But all she felt was tired. The lights flickered, then blazed to life. The monitors beeped. The IV pumps whirred. The ventilators hummed. Power was back. The ER erupted in quiet applause. Not loud, not celebratory, just relief. Elena turned to Tracy. "Where's Kirsch?" Tracy pointed toward the administrative hallway. "Haven't seen him since the bomb threat." Elena walked toward the hallway. She found Kirsch in his office, sitting behind his desk, staring at nothing. She knocked on the open door. He looked up. His face was gray. He looked 10 years older than he had 6 hours ago. "Dr. Vance." "Dr. Kirsch." Elena stepped inside. "I'm still suspended?" Kirsch was quiet for a long moment. Then he shook his head. "No, you're not." "Good, because I quit." Kirsch blinked. "What?" "This hospital needs someone who trusts their ER staff, someone who doesn't hide in an office during a crisis. That's not you." Elena turned to leave. "Dr. Vance." She stopped. "You're right," Kirsch said quietly. "About all of it." Elena looked back at him. He looked broken. "For what it's worth," he said, "you did the right thing tonight. All of it." Elena nodded once, then walked out. She found Caldwell in the hallway. He looked exhausted. His surgical gown was still streaked with blood. "Dr. Vance." "Dr. Caldwell." They stood there for a moment, neither speaking. Finally, Caldwell said, "I'm sorry. For doubting you. For being slow. For—" He trailed off. "For being human?" Elena said. Caldwell almost smiled. "Yeah, we all are." She walked past him, back into the ER. Tracy was waiting. "Elena, FBI wants to debrief you. Later." "Elena." "Later, Tracy." Elena walked to the nearest patient. A young woman with a broken arm, eyes wide and scared. "Hi," Elena said. "I'm Dr. Vance. Let's get you taken care of." And for the first time in 6 hours, she felt like herself again. Dawn broke over Minneapolis at 6:47 a.m. Dr. Elena Vance stood at the window of the empty staff lounge, watching the sky turn from black to gray to pale blue. The city looked quiet from up here, peaceful, like nothing had happened. But downstairs, the ER still hummed with aftermath. She'd worked straight through the night. 16 patients stabilized, 8 transferred to ICU, 4 discharged, 2 surgeries coordinated. 1 family told their daughter didn't make it. Elena's scrubs were stiff with dried blood. Her hands ached. Her eyes burned. She should go home, but she couldn't leave yet. The door opened behind her. Tracy walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Elena. "You look like hell," Tracy said. "Thanks." They stood together in silence, watching the sunrise. "FBI finished their sweep," Tracy said. "The malware's been removed. Systems are clean. They're still trying to figure out who hired those 2. Elena took a sip of coffee. It was terrible. She drank it anyway. "Did they say anything else?" "Just that you should expect a follow-up interview. National security implications," they said. Elena nodded. She'd been expecting that. Tracy was quiet for a moment. Then, "You really quit?" "Yeah." "You're serious?" "I don't know yet." Tracy smiled. "That's the most honest thing you've said all night." Elena almost laughed. Almost. The door opened again. Dr. Kim stepped in, looking exhausted but steady. "Dr. Vance, the last of the mass casualty patients just got transferred out. ER's clear except for routine cases." "Good work, Dr. Kim." Kim nodded and left. Elena turned back to the window. The sun was higher now. Traffic was starting to move on the streets below. The city was waking up. "What are you going to do?" Tracy asked. Elena didn't answer right away. She thought about the night, the chaos, the fear, the impossible decisions, the failures and the saves and the moments where she had no idea what the right answer was. She thought about the man in scrubs, the woman in the substation, the words they'd both said. "Someone's been watching you. Someone thinks you're special." Elena didn't feel special. She felt tired and angry and confused. But she also felt something else. Alive. I don't know, she finally said. But I need to find out who's behind this. Tracy frowned. That's the FBI's job. Maybe. But it's personal now. Before Tracy could respond, Agent Ruiz walked in. He looked as tired as Elena felt. Dr. Vance, can we talk? Tracy took the hint. I'll be at the nurse's station if you need me. She left. Ruiz sat down on the worn couch, gestured for Elena to sit. She stayed standing. The two suspects aren't talking, Ruiz said. Professional operatives. They know how to stay quiet, but we pulled their financials. Both received payments from a shell corporation based in the Cayman Islands. We're tracking it, but it's going to take time. How much time? Weeks. Maybe months. Elena's jaw tightened. So whoever did this just walks away. For now. Ruiz leaned forward. But Dr. Vance, there's something you need to understand. This wasn't random. The traffic hack, the cyber attack, the infiltration, it took months of planning, millions of dollars, and it was all focused on you. I know. Do you? Because I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've never seen anything like it. Someone wanted to test you, to see how you respond under impossible pressure, and now they know. Ruiz's expression was grim, which means they're probably planning something bigger. Elena met his eyes. Then I'll be ready. Will you? Ruiz stood. Because next time it might not be a hospital. It might be something you can't control, and there won't be a safety net. Elena didn't respond. Ruiz handed her a card. If you remember anything and anything at all about who might want to target you, call me. Doesn't matter how small. He left. Elena looked at the card. FBI. Cyber Division. A direct number. She put it in her pocket. The door opened again. This time it was Dr. Caldwell. He looked uncomfortable. Dr. Vance. Do you have a minute? Elena turned. What is it? Caldwell stepped inside, closed the door. I've been thinking about what happened tonight, about the mistakes I made, about how I didn't listen to you. He paused. And I wanted to say, I'm recommending you for Chief of Emergency Medicine. Elena blinked. What? Kirsch is stepping down. The board's meeting next week to choose a replacement. I'm on the selection committee, and I think it should be you. Elena stared at him. You spent half the night thinking I was overreacting. I was wrong. You weren't overreacting. You were seeing something the rest of us couldn't. Caldwell's expression was serious. You kept people alive when the system failed. That's not just skill. That's leadership. Elena didn't know what to say. Caldwell extended his hand. Think about it. Elena shook his hand. He left. She stood alone in the staff lounge, staring at nothing. Chief of Emergency Medicine. More responsibility, more pressure, more nights like this one. She should say no, but she knew she wouldn't. Elena finished her coffee, tossed the cup in the trash. She walked to the locker room, changed out of her bloody scrubs. The clean clothes felt strange, soft, normal. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her hair was a mess. Dark circles under her eyes. A bruise forming on her jaw from the fight in the substation. She looked like she'd been through a war. Maybe she had. Elena grabbed her bag and walked out of the locker room. The ER was quiet now. Morning shift had taken over. Fresh faces. Rested hands. She walked past the nurse's station. Tracy looked up. Going home? Eventually. Where are you going? Elena didn't answer. She just kept walking. She took the elevator down to the basement. Back to the electrical substation. The door was propped open. Engineers were inside, repairing the breaker she'd destroyed. Elena stood in the doorway looking at the panel, the shattered switch, the scorch marks on the floor. She'd done that. In desperation. In the moment when everything was on the line, and it had worked. One of the engineers noticed her. Dr. Vance? You need something? Elena shook her head. Just checking. She turned and walked back to the elevator. Outside, the sun was bright. The air was cold. The parking lot was full of news vans, reporters setting up cameras. Elena walked past them, head down. A few called out her name. She didn't stop. She got to her car, sat in the driver's seat, didn't start the engine. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it. You did well last night, Dr. Vance. We'll be in touch. Elena stared at the screen. Her blood ran cold. She typed back, Who is this? No response. She waited 2 minutes. 3, 5, nothing. Elena deleted the text, put the phone in her pocket. She started the car, and as she pulled out of the parking lot, past the news vans and the reporters and the chaos, she made a decision. Whoever was watching her, whoever had orchestrated last night, whoever thought they could test her like some kind of lab experiment, they'd made a mistake, because Dr. Elena Vance didn't break under pressure. She got sharper, and next time, she'd be ready. The skyline of Minneapolis faded in her rearview mirror. The ER would go on, patients would come and go, the hospital would rebuild, stronger systems, better protocols. But Elena knew the truth. The real threat wasn't the cyber attack. It wasn't the power failure or the bomb threat or the infiltrators. It was whoever was pulling the strings, and until she found them, this wasn't over. Elena drove home through the morning light, her mind already working through possibilities, patterns, connections. Somewhere out there, someone was watching. And now, she was watching back. FIM, One Night or Siege. If this story made you feel something, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which moment hit you hardest. Was it the parking garage surgery, the final fight in the substation, or the moment Elena realized someone's been watching her all along? More stories like this coming soon. Don't miss them.